Hi, Claire.
Hello, it's lovely to be here.
Hello, Claire.
Thank you for
to be
joining
with
us.
you too. Yeah.
So could you please start off by telling us about your professional life and what you've been doing at York and basically yourself as a researcher?
Okay, alrighty. I'll try and make it as succinct as possible. I've had a
Okay.
fabulous career. I've had a lot of fun. It's been hard work, but a lot of fun. But so my career has mainly been it's actually moved back and forth from nursing education to nursing practice and research in between. So in practice settings, I've worked in Montreal as an accident nurse where people who had accidents ended up on our unit, in intensive care out west in Alberta, as a float nurse, and back in Quebec and here in Ontario. In my nursing education, that's when I fell in love with what I wanted to do. I had been working in the ICU in Alberta and needed a change, and I saw this job ad and thought, oh, I've always thought of that. And I found my passion, my love. So I've taught again in Quebec, Alberta, Ontario, in hospital schools of nursing, CEGEPs in Quebec, which are similar to colleges, and universities here. So that's my career in a nutshell. But
Awesome.
what really, when I was, I was teaching, and I was getting tired of teaching. And I'm a firm believer that in order to teach, I have to love the students, and I was getting a little cranky. So I decided too that, as you two know, I'm a pretty good talker.
Yeah.
But could I actually walk? Could I do what I was telling you to do? So the opportunity came to me to go into a leadership position and see if I could actually create the change that I was telling you to do. So I became the Chief Nursing Officer at the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, and there I went to be the Director of Nursing Education at UHN. And then I came here, and I was the Director here of the School of Nursing here at York for 5 years. So I also too, I love and I still believe that we in education and we in practice need to work together. We continue to go on parallel paths, and we need to really be supporting each other and working towards common goals of how to provide the best healthcare possible for the people we care for. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So where's my research been? Well, in leadership positions, it's hard to have a research program, particularly here at York. But I have had research, but it's all been based on a program of creating the best environments for nurses to be the best that they can be. And how do we do that? How do we support nurses to be the very best they can? So when my son was little, I used to tell him that I nurse nurses. So I nurse the environments so that nurses can be healthy and do their very best in caring for people. So I loved work environments, and I started my research with my PhD basically looking at work environments, particularly in a very tumultuous time in the early 2000s here in Ontario, where nurses were being walked out the door and nurses were very angry, upset, and burnt out, kind of like what they are right now. But so I looked at the psychological contract. Strongly urge you to read that article. But it's not the contract that you sign, it's the contract you show up every day to work with. And it's with your heart and your mind, and it's the commitment to the job, and you either are on a continuum of from transactional, where you only do what you're paid for, not a single thing more, and if you ask me to do more, then you're going to pay for it, to relational, where you really want to do your very best, you want to see your patients succeed, your organization succeed, and you want to be committed to it, an organizational commitment. So looked at that for a while, and then at and then creating that at the WSIB. How do we foster that kind of environment for our nurses there? Then the research went to UHN, and we looked very much at bullying, and how do we help our nurses understand what a bullying environment is, and how do we not have bullying environments? So we did a very cool project on research program funded by the Ministry of Health on how to teach nurses awareness of bullying and how to address it, not only if you're being bullied, but as a bystander, most importantly. And then I came here and I'm looking at very cool stuff about caring. How do we teach caring to our students? What does it look like? What does it mean? Are you able to do that when you get out into practice? And now it's branching out into how do we foster caring and compassion in a technological world with the incoming of advanced technology and robots and robotic care. And that's going to change a lot of what we do, so how do we prepare you for it? So that's a very long answer to your question.
Thanks, Claire.
Yeah.
So you kind of told us about your interests. Could you tell us what you think your area of expertise is within nursing?
Oh my goodness. I think work environments. I think leadership.
Okay.
For sure leadership. Based on my leadership experiences and looking at, in order to create work environments, you have to look at what they are, how to correct them, how to create change with the people right there. So leadership, for sure, work environments, and now this whole piece about, and there's two things fundamentally I'm passionate about. You, the students, and how do we support you in your success to take care of me, because it's all about me at the end of the day. But, and to take care of people to the best ability, as well as the person, the people we care for. How do we provide the best care possible for them? So those are my interests.
Okay, great. Could you tell us what you think are some of your biggest contributions to the field?
No, geez, I didn't read that question.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, you can be very blunt.
That's right.
No, I think you are my greatest accomplishment.
Oh.
No, absolutely. I get my greatest joy when I see you succeed and support you in that. And to know, how I'm passionate about complexity theory. So if I can even influence a few of you to go out in your careers and influence others, that creates such a powerful system of nurses who want to create change and be the best they can. So yeah, you are my greatest accomplishment.
That's nice.
Also, too, I think success as a leader, and looking now and seeing how do we prepare for this future. It's very different than what's been in healthcare in the last 40 years or so, and how do we prepare for it? How do we ensure nursing is at the table influencing how that change is going to occur? Because if we're not, we're going to be replaced by technology.
So you touched a lot on how you have interests in leadership and facilitating students in being compassionate when they work, right? So how do you think the field of nursing in general has touched on these areas?
Okay, so I think the major piece right now is we have a workforce that's very tired. They're burnt out. They're pulled, and it's not just only nursing, it's the healthcare workforce. They're pulled in all sorts of different directions. I hope most of us, if not all of us, went into these professions is to care, is to provide compassionate care and to make a difference at people's best times, such as when they have had a beautiful, healthy child, and their most vulnerable times and their saddest times, when someone passes, when someone's critically ill, some life event that they weren't expecting. And the problem is, in today's world, it's all about efficiency, it's about effectiveness, it's about costs, it's about doing more with less. And we're spinning, we're trying to get all of that done, that we're losing the reason why we all came into healthcare. We feel like we're not making a difference. We're too busy documenting. We're too busy making sure all these tasks are done. That's what we're measured on. That's what we'll be held accountable for if we don't do them. And that's burning everyone out. And they're going, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. I signed up to try and make a difference, to have those moments of compassion. So one of the keys for us as educators, as administrators, leaders, nurses, is how do we still weave in those caring moments? Not only for the people we care for, but for ourselves, to know that we're still making a difference.
Great. What advice would you give to a nursing student like us who wants to get into research?
Oh, to get into research? Keep asking questions.
Okay, to who?
Yourselves.
Yeah.
In the sense of you see things. Sometimes I'm fearful, and I teach research too, that we make it very complicated. And then we throw in SPSS, statistics, and everyone gets suddenly, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I hate math. And we talk about big R research, which is, the big applying for grants and
the whole process.
The whole process, and ethics is very important, but you have to have the right question. You have to decide on what methodologies you will use, what theory will guide it, and that's all really important, don't get me wrong. But by doing that, sometimes I think, again, we lose the inquiry, just being inquisitive about something, not understanding it and moving forward. So I say to get interested in research is be curious and ask questions. Why are we doing this? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Let's look at the evidence. But wait a minute, the evidence has said we no longer should be doing this. We should be doing that.
And challenging concepts.
Yeah, exactly. Challenging the process.
Yeah.
And being curious. So that's the first piece on your units as nurses. How can we improve what we're doing? How do we do that? And then to get into big R research, then, start asking bigger questions and getting involved. If there's a research study that they're looking for participants, sign up for one and see what it's like. Start asking them questions like, oh, and what tool is this? What is the validity and reliability of it? But start doing it, looking at it that way, and exploring what it means to start to do that research. But don't be afraid of it. I think sometimes, especially at your stage of your careers, it's not going to be me. I'm never going to do research. I'm going to be at the point of care, which is fabulous. But you should still be curious, asking questions, and trying to be the best you can, and changing things out and building off of that.
Okay, that's great insight. So relating to that last question, what opportunities do you think exist for nursing students to get into research?
Well, I encourage you to find profs that are doing research. We have some profs who have just gotten major, big grants. CIHR, Canadian Institute of Health Research, very hard to get. So start asking them, do you need students volunteering? Seeing, is there anything as a student, not expecting to be paid, nice if you can, but not expecting it.
For the experience.
Yeah, for the experience. Is there anything I could be doing on this? Even if it's just helping put surveys together or
documentation.
Exactly, but that's just
database.
Entering data.
Yeah.
Entering data is really, it's mind-numbing, but it's really important to know the importance of it, because that old adage, I once had a physics teacher tell me when I was trying to justify my absolutely wrong results, and I said to him, but the calculator is saying this, and he yelled at me, garbage in equals garbage out. So one has to really be careful and honor the data and put it in right, because otherwise it's not going to work. So volunteer, find out. Again, be curious. Who's doing research? How can I get involved at any capacity, any level? And I think key is letting people know. All you have to do is ask. And you ask someone like me, and I might not have anything right now, but then I hear my colleague has something. I have some two really keen students who just want to get involved in some way. Get involved with, associations. RNAO has their whole best practice guidelines. Are there ways that I can get engaged in that way too?
All right, thanks, Claire. That's some good insight.
What's that?
That's some good insight.
Yeah.
Do you have any concluding thoughts?
Oh.
Anything that you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
Oh, you know what I'm going to say? Just do it. Just get going, right? We're all scared. And just try. I guarantee you, if you do nothing, you will not get engaged. But if you try, there just might be the opportunity. There's lots of people like me who want to see you grow and succeed too. So just take the risk. Just do it and get going.
All right, great.
All right.
Thank you so much, Claire.
Thanks,
for your time.
Claire.
Okay.
Thank you.